Welcome to all of you. See the second topic from your syllabus, Unit 7, the topic number 2, resettlement and rehabilitation. Here, the first one, what is resettlement? Population transfer or resettlement is the movement of large group of people from one region to another, often a form of forced migration imposed by state policy or international authority, and most frequently on the basis of ethnicity or religion. So what is resettlement? Means population they get transferred or they get again resettled is the movement that is large group of people they get from one region to the another region. They get migrate from one region to another region, and this is imposed by state policy or international authority, and most frequently on the basis of this such a ethnicity or the religion. So exile is a similar process, banishment is a similar process, but is forcibly applied to individuals and the groups. So often the affected population is transferred by forcefully to a distant region, perhaps not suited to their way of life. Means they get forcefully migrated, forcefully resettled to the other places. Okay, so perhaps not suited also, but on the their way of life, causing them substantial harm. Okay, in addition to such a loss of all immovable property, and when rushed, the loss of substantial amounts of movable property is implied. These transfer may be motivated by the more powerful parties' desire to make other uses of the land in question, or less often by distress, environmental or economic conditions, or their relocations. Means simply here, what is the resettlement? The people or the group of people they get migrate or movement of such a large group of people from one region to another region forcefully, and such a migration is imposed by state policy or international authority. Because such often the affected population is transferred by force to distant region, perhaps not suited to their way of life. So, such a loss of all immovable property, when trust, the loss of substantial amounts of movable property is implied. This transfer may be motivated by the more powerful parties' desire to make other uses of the land in question, less often by distress, environmental or economic conditions, or their relocations. The next one, what is rehabilitation? So in previous slide, we see about the resettlements. Mean the large group of people they get move or migrate from one place to another place. Then what is rehabilitation? Here, rehabilitation means the restoration of someone to a useful place in society. Means they get again restored. Restoration of someone to useful place in society. They restored in some useful place of the society. The conversion of wasteland into land suitable for use of habitation or cultivation. Means the wasteland they get converts into the a land which is suitable for the use of habitation. Means they are useful for the living place or cultivation. So means rehabilitation, that means a restoration. Okay, and the conversion of waste land, that waste place into land is suitable for use of habitation or the cultivation. The act of restoring something or someone to satisfactory state, and the state of being restored to its former good conditions. Okay, so this is all about the rehabilitation. So what is the difference between resettlement and rehabilitation? So resettlement means what? A resettlement is a migration or the movement of a large group of people from one place to another place, or they forcefully they get migrated. Okay, and the rehabilitation means within a place they get restored, means conversion of wasteland into land is suitable for use of habitation or the cultivation. And okay, so this is about the resettlement and rehabilitation. The next one, land rehabilitation. We already see in a previous slide, rehabilitation means again restoration. Okay, or the such a wasteland is useful for the, they get converts into the land is useful for the habitation or the cultivation. Then how such a land rehabilitation processes occur? So the land rehabilitation is the process of returning the land in a given area to some degree of its former state after some process has resulted in its damage. Many projects and developments will result in the land becoming degraded, for example, mining, farming, and forestry. Okay, means how the land rehabilitation processes occur actually, or some process has resulted in its damage. Means many project developments will result in the land become degraded. For example, mining processes, farming process, and the forestry. Okay, so in such a process, the land becoming degraded. Although land rehabilitation is most oftenly used to rectify problems caused by man-made processes. Okay, why such a land rehabilitation is used to rectify? Because the problem is caused by man-made processes such as mining, oil drilling, and other petrochemical related processes. It is also used to clean up natural processes. For example, natural disasters such as earthquake and flooding can also cause damage to the natural environment. Land rehabilitation technique can be used to speed up the amount of time necessary to restore the location to back to its original state. So this is very speed up technique. Land rehabilitation technique can be used to speed up the amount of time necessary to restore the location to back to its original state. The demand for reclamation or rehabilitation has increased during the last few decades as resource firms become increasingly environmentally conscious and new environmental protection laws are introduced. So, due to this, the demand of rehabilitation and reclamation has increased during the last few decades. So, however, rehabilitation can be very costly process, especially if there is a toxic one. Then after land rehabilitation, the next one that is mine rehabilitation. Here, after mining finishes, the mine area must undergo rehabilitation. Waste dumps are countered to flatten them out to further stabilize them against erosion. If the ore contains sulfides, it is usually covered with layer of clay to prevent access of rain and oxygen from the air, which can oxidize the sulfide to produce the sulfuric acid. Okay, these are some simple techniques or the processes. This during the time of such a mining processes, they ores the or they their ores or they emit the sulfides. Or such a sulfide is a harmful chemical or the acid, and so it is usually covered with the layer of clay. Why? Because due to this, they prevent access of rain and oxygen from the air. Because when they come in contact with rain and the oxygen, which can be oxidized, and they oxidize and given rise to the sulfides. And after that, these sulfides are produced the sulfuric acid. So landfills are covered with topsoil. Vegetation is planted to help consolidate the material. Dumps are usually fenced off to prevent livestock denuding them of vegetation. The open pit is then surrounded with a fence to prevent access, and it generally eventually fills up with groundwater. Then tailings dams are left to evaporate, then cover with waste rock, clay if need be, and soil, which is planted to stabilize it. So this is a mine rehabilitation process. Mean after the mining is finishes, such a mine area must undergo or it needs to rehabilitation. Okay, so such a techniques or the processes are used for the mine rehabilitation. So this picture shows year's existing condition after 1 year of planting them, then after 2 to 3 years establishment. See in this image what is the transformation. Then after 5 to 7 years the growth of such plants, and after 10 to 15 years limited productivity, and the last one see here fully grown of the crop or the cultivation. Okay, means this land is undergo rehabilitation and it is useful for the cultivation. Okay, so this simple picture it is easily understand what is the actual process of rehabilitation. Then case studies. Here one example from such a resettlement and rehabilitation. One case study here. According to the World According to the World Commission on Dams (WCD), between 40 and 80 million people worldwide have been physically displaced by dams. 60 in China, by the late in 1980s, roughly 10 million people were counted as reservoir resettlers, while in India, estimate of the population displaced by large dams range from 21 million to 33 million people. So displaced and affected people rarely receive complete and adequate information on the dam project. The nature and extent of displacement and provisions for resettlement and reconstructions. So here displaced and affected people normally have no role in generating baseline information or in developing such a resettlement plans. So the relocation process is often traumatic, involuntary, and prolonged. So compensation is inadequately assessed and monitored. So the resettlement sites are plagued by poor infrastructure and problematic relationships with host communities. Okay, then next one. Here one of the example in China. In its first 40 years after the 1949 revolution that established the People's Republic of China, the government has resettled an average near about 8 lakh people per year for development purposes. 63, the three Jaws Dam project launched in 1994 and we completed in 2009. So total cost in excess, there is 25 billion in dollars in US dollars, is expected to result in the largest dam related displacement in history. So flooding more than 1000 square kilometers of land with a reservoir more than 400 miles in length. The Three Georges Dam project will displace the populations of 17 cities and 109 towns in 19 countries, a total of more than 1.2 million people. Here, the government's argument in favor of the dam is that it will control the effects of monsoon floods on farmland as well as on industrial and urban centers in the lower Yangtze River basin. Moreover, it will also serve as the center of an expansion of electrical electric generation capacity of China, which is expected to reduce the country's overall dependence on coal as energy source. Then studies of persons in China resettle because of dams indicate. Then later on, after that studies, person in China they get again resettled because of dams indicate that they are often left in poverty. A study measuring the effects of displacement due to dam construction stated that only one-third of those resettled had re-established their lives at satisfactory standards. Another third had returned into subsistence livelihoods, while the remainder were mired in a poverty. 71 World Bank evaluations of dam resettlement indicate that resettlers experience high rates of unemployment and often remain dependent upon food ratios from the government. 60% are believed to live below the poverty line. In India, then see the one another case study in India. India has the largest number of development projects in the world, quite possibly the largest number of development in those displaced persons in the world as well. The India Social Institute estimated there were currently 21.3 million persons displaced because of development projects. Of this number, 16.4 million were displaced by dams. Then Central Water Commission 3,300 dams had been built since 1947 and another 1,000 are under construction. The Indian Institute of Public Administration estimate that the average number of persons displaced by large dam, that is 44,182.73 development projects, they are affected on the Indian societies, including those belonging to scheduled caste and tribal groups, are threaten them with even greater impoverishment because of loss of livelihood, land, assets, and social structure. Among the best known and most controversial cases of development-induced displacement in India, that is the Sardar Sarovar Dam. Here one of the best case study in India. So an irrigation complex on the Narmada River. Okay, that is Sardar Sarovar Dam is an irrigation complex on the Narmada River. Although the Indian government had been studying development of the Narmada River basin for several decades since independence, full-scale construction of the Sardar Sarovar Dam did not begin until 1987, overseen by Narmada Control Authority, that is NCA, and funded initially by the World Bank. So government claims that the Sardar Sarovar project could irrigate 1.8 million hectares of drought-prone areas in Gujarat and 75,000 hectares in Rajasthan, as well as provide domestic water to 2.4 million people. So here the people were met means near about 2.4 million people were met with criticism from the local communities that the benefits were exaggerated, that the project would displace as many as 320,000 people and affect the livelihood of thousands more. Following several years of non-violent protest led by the Narmada Bachao Andolan, Save the Narmada movement, in 1991 the World Bank established an independent review committee chaired by the former head of the UN Development Programme, Bradford Morse. Then June 1992, the Morse Commission released its report concluding that the Sardar Sarovar project as they stand are flawed, that resettlement and rehabilitation of all those displaced by the project is not possible under prevailing circumstances, and that the environmental impact of the project have not been properly considered or adequately addressed. So in previous slide, we will discuss about the two case studies. One it is from the China and other from the India, that is Sardar Sarovar Dam in the bank of Narmada River. Then reconstruction after resettlement and rehabilitation. After resettlement and rehabilitation, there is the another process, that is reconstruction. Here there is three stages of reconstruction: rescue, relief, and recovery. Okay, what is meant by rescue? This is focused on saving lives at immediate risk. Okay, rescue means after this resettlement and rehabilitation, again reconstruct. So such a focused on the saving lives. Okay, first of all, focused on the saving lives at immediate risk. Then relief. What is relief? Focused on re-establishing basic service to keep people alive. And recovery means during which the infrastructure and economy are slowly rebuilt. This is slower process. And the standard time frames for these three phases are. So they are having some standard time. In rescue stage, they are having 7 days minimum time. Relief 3 months, recovery 5 years. So, in terms of housing, these three stages take the form of three different housing forms: emergency shelters, including tarpaulins and tents. Okay, after such a resettlement rehabilitation, there is necessary to reconstruct. So, these three stages for the reconstruction, that is rescue, relief, recovery, they are having different time span. So in terms of housing, means it is related to our shelters. So there is a emergency shelters are construct. For example, they include a tent like such a houses, then temporary housing, including tent, kits of self-built shacks, final permanent housing, ideally. So see here, this picture shows temporary housing and permanent housing after resettlement and rehabilitation during the time of reconstruction. So problems and concern. A major project like dam, mines, expressways, or the notification of national park disturbs the lives of people who live in that area. So often requires relocating them to alternate site. So whose lives are closely woven around their own natural resources find it hard to do adopt a new place. No major project that is likely to displace can be carried out without consent of the local people. So resettlement not only puts pressure on the project affected people but also on the people who have been living in area selected for resettlement. Both the communities suffer and conflict over resources is a distinct possibility in the future. So it is not just flora and fauna alone that is under extinction. What is flora and fauna? Flora is a plants, group of plants, and fauna is a group of animals. They are living in that particular ecosystem. So among many tribes across the globe, the Jawars and Andaman Island in the Indian Ocean are dwindling. They have been compelled to give up their lifestyle, resulting in rapidly diminishing indigenous population. Resettlement require land. However, in our overpopulated country, there is no arable high-quality land easily available. Thus, most project-affected people are usually given unusable wasteland. Rehabilitation involves more than just giving land. In most cases, even this basic concept is not adequately done. So, in this lecture, we have completed our second topic from Unit 7, that is rehabilitation and resettlement. See again just one overlook, that is resettlement. Resettlement means what? A group of people, they get migrate or movement from one region to another region by forcefully. Rehabilitation means they again restored, means conversion of such a wasteland type into land suitable for habitation or cultivation, for living space or the cultivation. Then how the land rehabilitation processes occur, then mine rehabilitation processes occur, how the hazardous chemical uh, or how the lives they are protected from such a hazardous chemical they are emitted from the mine industries. Okay, these are all discussed in this topic, mine rehabilitation. Then this picture is clearly shows, sorry, this picture is clearly shows how the wasteland is used for cultivated purpose or the for habitation. Okay, then there are two case studies also here, that is one from China and India. India, there is a major project, that is Narmada River Sardar Sarovar Dam. Then after resettlement and rehabilitation, there is reconstruction process. There are three important stages for reconstruction: rescue, relief, and recovery. They are having three different time span. Rescue, it is within 7 days. Here they are focusing on saving lives, immediate risk. They prepare housing for tents, including, then relief, it is for 3 months. Recovery for 5 years. Okay, this is all about the problems and concern. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. काय झालं?